check.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. Tonight, we have one of our regulars, Mr. Patrick Umar, who will be speaking to us on a very timely contemporary topic, green human resource management. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll quickly like to read his profile for the benefit of some of us who may just be getting acquainted with him for the first time. Patrick is an experienced business transformation and HR leader. He's consummate in the areas of talent management, organizational development, corporate strategy, and business development. He has proven expertise in integrated talent management, HR analytics, HR information system management, HR labor, and regulatory compliance, among others. He holds a LLB in law, not a BSc, LLB in law, and an MSc in international labor relations management, okay, HR human resource management from Rome Business School. He's also running an MBA with Quantic School of Business. For those of you who think I read, you now know my method. Patrick is a senior professional in human resource international, SPHRI certified. He's a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management Nigeria, full member. He's also a Chartered Human Resource Manager and a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators of Nigeria, CIAN, and a member of the Institute of Administrators and Researchers of Nigeria. Patrick's experience cuts across sectors like not-for-profit, real estate, manufacturing, financial services, oil and gas, hospitality, and the public sector. Currently, he is the Group Head Human Resources at Steel Art Holdings Limited, where he supervises the business operations across 4 companies within the group. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to present to you Mr. Patrick. You have the floor, my brother.
All right, thank you very much, Yemi. And is it Dr. Yemi or Professor Yemi? Which one is it? How do we address you now?
I'm just a regular guy. Only Emi is okay, my brother.
All right, thank you, Yemi. It's really a pleasure to be back here. And I like to just think of this as a conversation, amongst my peers, and we're sharing knowledge. And now today's topic, diving into today's topic, it's a different direction from the norm. I know it's not the usual technical areas that we're used to talking about on this platform. This is a field that is growing in its imports, and I think it's something as HR professionals, it's no longer something out there that that is taken seriously in the Western world, and we don't think it's applicable to us over here. It's knocking right here on our doorstep, and it's a global issue we all need to be concerned about. So I'll kick off with this introduction, and I think this slide needs no not much introduction. The truth is, the planet is getting hotter. Just yesterday on CNN, um, there's a news article that in India, it is the hottest it has ever been in India. And right now, the heat waves have gotten to such an extent that it is a matter of life and death. All right. In South Asia alone, once it is midday, you need to make a life or death decision, whether whatever you are doing is important. And this is the current situation, state of affairs in both India and Pakistan. All right. Hospitals in those countries have reported the largest numbers of cases of heat stroke. And each summer, 25 to 30% of the population in those countries in Asia, really, that part of Asia, becomes they become what you call climate refugees, temporary climate refugees. So at certain times of the year, you cannot live. So people migrate rather from certain portions of the country to another portion of the country in India and Pakistan. And if you just go to CNN and try and read up on that story, you find out that those who can afford it in India now have two accommodations. So you have your accommodation for every other time of the year, and then you have your accommodation during summer. So during summer, you can't stay in certain cities in India and Pakistan. And I think on that platform, you know, I would introduce this topic. So once upon a time, I remember the company I was working with about 10 years ago. We had this clean and okay, Fashola then had clean and green initiative in Lagos. Then we launched 10 years ago the 3 R's of our corporate CSR then. We called it reuse, reduce, recycle. And it was just a buzzword. It was just a, hey, let's do this because it was the reigning fad at the time. But I'm telling you the truth, going green is now inevitable. All right. In today's world, environmental sustainability has become a top priority for many organizations. All right. So this presentation will explore the concept of green HRM, also known as sustainable human resource management, and we'll discuss tonight how these green HRM practices can benefit our businesses, by reducing our environmental impact and improving employee morale and attracting top talent. So, as you can see, what started the whole green HRM initiative, or what birthed it, was a report from the United Nations titled Our Common Future. I advise everyone to read this report. That report underscored the crucial role HR plays in strategically greening the organization. So, if an organization becomes a green convert, that in turn affects the economy and in turn affects the society at large. So this awareness is what gave birth to the green HRM movement. Okay, so the motto was, if a company is to adopt, and it's discovered that if a company is to adopt any kind of environmentally friendly approach to its activities, HR and its people are very key to the success or failure of that initiative. So let's talk about what is green human resource management. Okay, green human resource management is a strategic approach to HR that puts into consideration the environmental impact of, people management practices. So it's not just about putting a recycling bin in a breakout room. That's a good start, but green HRM encompasses the entire employee life cycle. And that's the approach that we're going to look at today. From recruitment to onboarding to training and development and even comp and ben. We're going to look at how green HRM, it goes beyond just recycling, and how we can embed sustainability into the core of our HR strategy. So what that means is we need to consider the impact environmentally of all our HR practices, from attracting to retaining talent to how we develop talent and even how we exit them. And we'll look at how we can become, a lot more environmentally conscious in our HRM practices. Nigeria, we say, okay, is this not some all these Oyinbo concepts? It's not just an Oyinbo concept. Even here in Nigeria, it has become more and more important. And we all know how rich our country, Nigeria, is in its natural resources. But with those natural resources, we now face environmental challenges. All right, look at oil spills in the Niger Delta area. Look at climate change as it's affecting us here in Nigeria. I don't know. I recall once upon a time where you could predict your weather. You can't really predict weather anymore. In school, then we had Hamatan and rain semester. You see rain falling during Hamatan semester, and you see the weather being dry during rain semester. It no longer follows um, the old yardsticks for measuring our own climate. Deforestation, desertification is becoming um, very key. Even in Nigeria, Nigeria is getting hotter and hotter as we know it. I remember back in the days in Lagos during Hamatan, I know how cold Lagos used to be during Hamatan. But sometimes now during Hamatan, we don't even know. The only thing we used to know that it's Hamatan is that, oh, our clothes probably dry faster during that period, compared to other periods. So, Green HRM is also offers a way for Nigerian businesses to take an active role in sustainability while also enhancing our competitive edge. So, as HR employees, as HR professionals rather, why should we bother about this hula baloo of um, um, green HR? Okay, I mean, some of the initiatives could be as I remember somewhere I worked, we had two reams of paper. So you had the regular new reams of paper, and then you had the rim for recycled paper. Okay, so when you print, rather than disposing or shredding the documents you print, if it's not sensitive information, you return the paper to the recycle box, and somebody else could use the same paper and print on the other side. Okay, encourage employees to print on both sides instead of just printing on one side is another way. But there's more than just that. It's not just a fad. Okay, now when you go green, employees are likely to show some level of increased productivity. It also imbibes the spirit of loyalty to the organization that, oh, my company is trying to do something to make the planet a better place. And this would also in turn lead to less staff turnover. um, Companies that are identified as green champions, they attract high quality candidates because green businesses are regarded more appealing. All right. And especially when you now phase out, previously manual processes and leverage more on technology, um, it leads to more efficient business processes. It improves your product, improves your quality, service quality, and all these things could flow from green initiatives that are put in place by HR. So this next set, I would like to engage. We are all HR professionals on the call, and with this understanding thus far of green HRM, let's even brainstorm together. Okay, let's look at the HR value chain, okay, or the employee life cycle, whichever way you want to look at it. In recruitment, what are the HR initiatives? Yemi, I don't know if it's possible to just try and see if we could get feedback. What are some of the um, HR initiatives we could put in place in recruitment, for example, to promote, greening, as it were? I even like Yemi's green background. It shows that he's in sync with today's topic. Well, maybe you can use the chat, um, drop our comments. Let's think together rather than me just reeling out slides. Okay, anyone in recruitment? Are there things we could do to promote greening in our organization? Okay, just help me keep an eye on the chat box in case anyone drops a comment, so I'll proceed and manage time. So when you look at recruitment, there are many ways. One, we need to attract environmentally conscious candidates. So we need to embed um, environmental consciousness in our recruitment process, make it part of the competencies we look out for in candidates. Thank God for technology. I remember back in the days when you have interviews, okay, you commute from Lagos mainland to the island to attend interviews. I remember back in those days, I don't know how many people remember, where you have candidates from outside Lagos that need to commute to come all the way to Lagos just to attend an interview. I recall then I was to attend an interview in a multinational, right? And it was not even an interview, it was an assessment. Yes, a, what do they call it again? Um, these assessments that you give. Oh gosh, the names, it's just it skipped my head. But it was an assessment, right? One of these psychometric assessments, right? And I was in Abuja at the time for my elder brother's wedding. And then, HR calls me and says, "Oh, I'm the HR for XYZ company, and I'm inviting you for a test tomorrow." And I was like, okay, I'm currently in Abuja. Is there anything that can be done? And they said, no. I had to leave my brother's wedding and start coming all the way back to Lagos. I took the first flight in the morning back to Lagos to attend the recruitment exercise. Okay, great. I'm seeing some comments here. To reduce carbon footprint, we can resort to virtual interviews. Exactly. Olaide, you took that point right out of, that's the point I was going to. Imagine back then companies were adopting virtual recruitment. I wouldn't have needed to miss my own blood brother's wedding. I missed the wedding because it's not possible to come to Lagos and go back to Abuja. Digital recruitment process, nice one. Reduction of the interview stages, exactly. Virtual interview instead of physical to eliminate commuting and the need to burn fuel. Oh, Hafizat, awesome. Paper-free recruitment process and eco-friendly job fairs. You guys have been 100% awesome. You save recruitment time, reduce paper, promote remote work. Okay, that as part of the recruitment process is a big key. Okay, what of, onboarding. So if we look at onboarding, right? There's this company, Accenture. Accenture has a workforce. I can't remember the exact number, but it was close to 10,000 workforce globally. All right, it's is in the thousands, close to 10,000 workforce globally. And imagine you work in a company like that and you need to do your onboarding. Okay, how do you want to go about onboarding? So if you're recruiting, doing a recruitment campaign and you have, say, 100, just 100 new hires, how do you want to go about the onboarding for 100 new hires? You want to invite them to your head office in, where's Accenture's head office? I think it's somewhere in US, but you have a global workforce. How do you go about your onboarding? So you look at things like virtual tours and Accenture. This was about 3 years ago when I was doing research on Accenture back then. Accenture then had already um, automated, I don't want to use what, digitized their onboarding process. They had virtual tours and they were using AR and VR technology to do a virtual tour. So there's a virtual onboarding. Once you put on the goggles, you have your avatar and you can interact with all the other um, new hires in a virtual environment. Okay, it was awesome. They digitized their onboarding program. Okay, digitize your onboarding materials, offer online, your induction training can be online. You don't need to put them all together in one room. And and that's one of the positives of COVID. COVID really opened our eyes to, us being able to do, make virtual feasible. Okay, virtual inductions, introductions to key staff members. You don't need to start, carrying them from one office to another. These introductions could be done literally virtually. All right. I remember I've worked in a multinational environment where we had business presence in about 4 countries in Africa, I didn't need to start traveling to meet with all the country managers. And I mean, we just met virtually. We did our introductions. They onboarded me on their operations in each of those countries. And hey, I was good to go. So, point is, green HRM can be integrated into all aspects of the employee life cycle. Let's look at learning and development is a no-brainer. Okay. Um, um, I mean, brick and mortar training is fast becoming obsolete. Okay, you have e-conferences, e job fairs. Somebody mentioned that e-job fairs, eco-friendly job fairs. You can attend job fairs virtually. There's literally an app for everything. So conference organizers now have apps that they use. You can use the app and navigate the entire conference. And I've attended some e-conferences with some very intuitive apps that made the conference a wonderful experience. Virtual training, I've mentioned that. Investing in learning, e-learning platforms, purchasing licenses for an LMS, and then doing environmental sustainability awareness campaigns, providing environmental training for employees. I mean, there's a company I worked is there's a bin for non-recyclable waste, and so that training was is necessary. And we'll look at performance management. Um, so in order to promote performance management, we can integrate environmental sustainability goals into our appraisal process. Okay. So this would help us hold employees accountable for green initiatives, the success of green initiatives. Ensure that every employee have KPIs that are specifically related to environmental performance, I'm sorry, environmental sustainability, and reward employees who are green ambassadors, okay, and offer reward and recognition to employees who also participate in green activities outside of work. Um, and then when you look at comp and ben, right, you can offer. I know some of these things may seem outlandish right now, but we are getting there. Okay. I know there is a CNG plant on the island. There are now, I know that there are now, what do you call it? Um, Charging stations for electric vehicles. We now have a couple of charging stations um, in VI for electric vehicles. And so as HR professionals, why don't we take the lead, right? Instead of, I know
Patrick, you are muted.
Oh my gosh, I wonder when I got muted.
I don't know when to. Can anyone
Wow.
confirm what we had last? Anyone quickly? I just had to step out to do something quickly.
Okay,
And
okay.
maybe just backtrack one step so it
Let
will be
me
like
go
a
back
recap.
let me go back to slides.
And
Okay.
your slide is correctly also not showing.
Okay, so that means I must have been thrown out or something. I don't know.
Yeah, network.
Okay, electric vehicles. Someone says I stopped at electric vehicles. Let me reshare. Okay, so that was Comp and Ben. Okay, so I stopped at electric vehicles, and so the option here, um, instead, for those of us involved in purchasing of official vehicles for our employees, we can look at, eco-friendly official vehicles like the CNG vehicles, the electric vehicles. These vehicles are much more eco-friendly than your petrol or diesel powered of vehicles. So we can look at the option of purchasing CNG and electric vehicles for our employees. I mentioned that right now on the island, you now have CNG filling stations as well as electric charging stations for electric vehicles in Victoria Island. Okay, so that's a good plus, and I know with time there'll be more and more. This will become more and more ubiquitous. You have more electric vehicle charging stations, and this would give cleaner options, provide power alternatives to employees working from home. I mentioned that there's a company I knew that during the COVID period that bought solar powered inverters for certain key employees because they didn't want those employees to complain, oh, they are not able to deliver because their laptop battery is dead. They haven't had power for 2 days. So the company made it a priority. Look, we buy you solar inverters. At least we have sunlight in Nigeria. We might as well make use of that. Offering discount on bicycles, public transport subsidies, or commuting options. Staff bus is an example of a commuting option. Instead of 50 employees driving 50 vehicles to work, if you have one staff bus, that picks them up and drops them off as close to their homes as possible, that would also reduce the environmental footprint of employees in that organization. Um, and then we'll look at some practices that we could do throughout the employee life cycle, like incentivizing employees to work. I know countries, Japan, Asia, where in Asia, where many companies, even in Europe, they encourage employees to work, not just for the physical health benefits, the reduced carbon footprint on the environment. Either you cycle, you walk, carpool, or use public transportation to work when possible for you. Introducing green initiatives such as encouraging employees to use the recycle bin, use recycled materials, using energy efficient office like reduce as bring your own mug, all those kind of policies. I know many companies bring your mug is now a given anyway. Encourage employee flexible work arrangements. So, if employees could work from home, it reduce um, vehicle carbon emission, and even as a business, diesel consumption and all of that are reduced. So because employees have the opportunity to work from home either as many days as possible, as is feasible for your business, and giving them flexible work start and end times as much as is feasible in your business. Um, I've mentioned encouraging recycling in the office, placing the right kind of recycling disposal directions. Okay. So going green, right? or green HRM offers a win-win situation for the employee, for the business, and the environment. Okay, so by implementing green HRM practices, your organization reduces its environmental footprint, you improve your bottom line, you can attract and retain your talented workforce, and oops, sorry, you attract and retain talented workforce, improve your brand reputation, okay, improve employee morale, um, and you reduce regulatory risk, okay. So by proactively implementing sustainable, you can avoid possible future regulatory compliance issues. All right. So these are some practical tips for getting started with Green HRM. You conduct an audit of where you are. So set clear goals, develop your green policies, and provide training resources to help employees adopt green practices, monitor it. Now, I'd say this, getting started with Green HRM, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Okay. Just by following these steps, I mean, start from where you are and then you can build from there going forward. Um, so, in conclusion, I just say this, Green HRM is a strategic approach to HR that can benefit your business. You can reduce your environmental impact, improve your employee morale, attract top talent, and like I said in the last slide, um, start small and build on your success. All right. Do we have any questions, comments, feedback? All right, that's it. Yemi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Patrick, for that very insightful session. I am positive that we can all take small steps that will lead to giant steps as we all support and enhance the ecosystem generally. It's very important we focus on the environment, the little part role each and every individual and organization can play will make that joint aggregate output possible. Thank you so much, Patrick, for this very insightful session. Thank you to everyone who joined tonight. Anytime from now, the recording will be uploaded in case some of us joined late or you'd like to share this with some of our colleagues at work, which I would strongly recommend. Patrick, I celebrate you, your willingness and eagerness to want to share at any opportunity. Thank you for what you do for the HR community in Nigeria and also what you now do for the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's call it a wrap. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Bye.